Now, the next thing, if you talk about the CCNP Enterprise track, now again, the CCNP Enterprise track and the Service Porter track nearly overlaps more than 50% of the topics. So I can say like if you are preparing for the CCNP Service Porter, except ISS, BGP, and some MPLS topics, majority of the topics will overlap. So it's like via. So the enterprise, if we divide the complete CCNP enterprise topics, we can divide them into multiple parts. Like the CCNP enterprise, mainly what we cover is we'll cover the enterprise core and then we cover the enterprise advanced routing. So these are the two modules what we will be discussing or what we'll be covering here. So the entire sessions, whatever the sessions we cover, basically it goes based on the topics wise or the module wise. At the end, we will be following the official syllabus as, but again, if you divide all the topics into multiple parts, it comes in 5 to 6 different sections. We can divide them like the first main section. So we can divide into 5 to 6 sections overall. The first one is like more covering on the LAN part. It's more on the switching. Now here, what we do is we'll try to get into understanding the LAN part, where you see a lot of basic switching like VLANs, trunking, inter-VLAN routing, some of the concepts revised based on the CCNA. And of course, you will see more advanced topics like spanning tree, RSTP, and then multiple spanning tree, even span, switch port analyzer. There's a big list of topics what you will see. So the overall, one of the part is more focused on the LAN part, where you will see understanding the campus networks, design, hierarchy, devices, models, plenty of things, uh, ensuring that you will be in a better position to manage the switching networks. Now, the second thing is the routing part. Now, in the routing part is more on connecting the WAN sites, where you will learn the routing protocols like EIGRP and OSPF, the main routing protocols which are used. In the case of service provider, you learn ISS routing. That is an additional routing you have to learn. And then you learn the BGP routing and route filtering, and of course, implementing all this based on IP version 4 as well as IP version 6. You also learn about IPv4 and IPv6. Addressing part we don't cover, but in IPv4, but IPv6 we start with the basics and cover some IPv6 technologies as well with route filtering, how to filter the routes, how to prevent the loops. Those all topics comes in that particular module. Now, the third main section, what is covered in the CCNP level, you need to know the VPNs, the virtual private networks, because majority of the WAN connections comes over the VPN, virtual private network, like using the GRE or DM VPN, dynamic multi-point VPN, or the IPsec VPN to secure your traffic. And additionally, you will also cover more on MPLS L3 VPN. So if you're going with CCNP or CCNP service provider, majorly these topics will overlap. But again, in service provider, you generally go in the advanced level, advanced core BGP, you can say. And when it comes to MPLS, you run core MPLS on the service providers like L2, L3, traffic engineering, interface options. There are plenty of things you do. So the service provider track majorly focuses more on depth on these two topics. But in the enterprise, you don't need to go at the core level. You need to know these technologies, but not at the in-depth core level of the service providers. So these three are the main core sections, what you will see. And there are some additional sections on the top of this, like security, services. We have something like security and services. Now, the security and services, basically, like in terms of security, we try to understand implementing the network security in the LAN and the WAN. There are many topics, small topics, I can say, understanding the layer 2 security, the different threats in the LAN, and how to work on that, and understanding control plane security, data plane security, and then implementing the ACLs. Those all those things comes under that. So basically, security topic or the module is more for even AAA, understanding AAA authentication, authorization, accounting. So these all. So that's what the module mainly focuses on, the network security. Of course, we don't get into firewalls. Firewalls is going to be completely in the CCNP security model. But still, as a routing switching engineer or the enterprise engineer, you need to have an idea about the enterprise level security and the concepts and implementations and mitigations, how we can overcome, or what are the configurations will help you to overcome all these concepts. And again, the services, you have plenty of services like NAT, DHCP, SLA, SNMP, small services. There are plenty syslogs. So this all comes under the IP services. That is again another main part. And there are many small top topics. And then, so mostly about the automation concepts, understand automation concepts and some wireless fundamentals. Also, you will be covering here, especially in the core exam. You need to have good understanding on the automation and the wireless technologies, because at the end, if you are doing automation, again, you will be doing in the SD-WAN or SDA and the separate models. But at the enterprise core level, they expect you to have some foundational knowledge about the automation concepts, which we'll cover in a couple of sessions, and also the foundation on the wireless. So roughly, I divide this CCNP enterprise level, which is going to be like a step level one or the first level to start with. Now, based on this, again, you might be going at the CCIE enterprise level, where you will add additional SD-WAN or DNAT, LAN automation. There are many additional technologies you add up to make it to CCIE enterprise level. And again, if you're going for CCIE service portal level or CCNP service portal level, you don't really cover few technologies, like you just go more in depth on these two technologies in depth. And additionally, you'll be adding more additional topics like IWS XR, or those kind of additional things will be added when you go with service product technologies. But as I said, majority of the topics, like 50 to 60% of the topics will overlap. And even for CCNP service portal or CCI service portal, I generally add CCNP Enterprise as a prerequisite, because almost all the things you need to know, except few things like EIGRP is not required, but still customer level you need to know. Services, security, all these concepts will again overlap over there. So this roughly, we divide the entire the roadmap into 5 to 6 different main core technology concepts. Okay, so in this, obviously, the first three are the most important, and on the top of them, we will be implementing the security and the services and automation. They might not be interrelated with each other majority of the time, but at the end, you will be implementing on everything on the top of it. Okay. Now, additionally, the bonus at the end, probably at the end of the module, I'll be sharing some mock lab scenarios. Mock labs, basically, these mock labs are more kind of a real-time scenario-based labs covering on each and every individual technology. Let me see if I already have, or if I can open up one of the sample lab for you to show up. So this is one specific mock lab which I'll share at the end. You'll also get an access to the videos and the PDF. Probably this covers more on understanding the design implementations and adding those technologies. Like if you go to the switching mock lab, let me go to the routing mock lab, the page number 90. So now here you'll find one of the specific, let's say if your organization is running EIGRP, then we just try to implement the different EIGRP based technologies and connecting to the ISP, and then adding the default routes, and then advertising the routes, and then filtering the routes. Those all things merged in this. And similar way, you have for each technology, I've added the mock labs, which normally I'll be sharing at the end of the course, so that this will give a better idea. Because when we do the technology classes, we only go with a simple topologies with in order to understand that specific technology or that specific topic. Okay. But at the end, when you go to the production networks, you will see all these things will be implemented in a one single topology, or majority of the technologies are implemented in one single lab. So I cannot go and add hundreds of routers, but I try to add 10 plus routers and try to simulate different scenarios and frame some different types of questions and then probably go through with that. So this is something an added things which you also need to understand, especially for the people if you're not really working in a production network or if you have not seen these things. So it's really important to build these things from basics and to understand how the configuration goes and how it works. Because at the end, when you go to the production networks and you're working, these things are already pre-configured. You might not get a chance to build everything from the basics, but still at the end, when you implement these labs and when you see the configurations in your production networks, it makes easy for you to understand and correlate all those things. Okay. So this is something what the roadmap for the CCNP Enterprise. Of course, when you go for CCI Enterprise or Service Portal, I'll try to add some more additional information relevant to that. But when it comes to CCNP Enterprise, this is how it goes. Okay, then there might be many subtopics which I missed out because it's not possible for list out each and every topic. But generally, I divide the entire CCNP Enterprise course into 5 to 6 different modules where we'll be covering up.